Each stroke presents its own challenges, so we can't just do the same thing and assume it's going to improve every stroke. We need different strategies depending on what stroke is going to be performed. Full stroke swimming is almost always going to work best because it's the closest to what they actually have to do in competition. The further away you get, the less likely it is that what they learn is going to apply to full stroke swimming. So if full stroke swimming can be used, go for it. So you can manipulate training goals or you can manipulate training aids to try to get what you want, and those were covered in video 6. However, that doesn't always cut it. Drills can be really effective. However, you want to stay as close to possible to whole stroke swimming as you can. That's because the further you get away, the less likely it is that what they're practicing is going to actually improve their full stroke swimming. If full stroke swimming isn't getting the changes you want, drills can work, but some drills are going to work much better than others. One of the biggest concepts you can use is that of simplifying full stroke swimming versus decomposing it. So decomposing it is just focusing on a part of the stroke. For instance, 6-1-6 swimming. 6 kicks on your side, you take a stroke and you switch to the other side. So the timing of freestyle is totally different in that case, and the range of motion with the rotation is also totally different than what you'd experience in freestyle. Instead, you can simplify freestyle and perform an easier version of the stroke and try to get the changes that you want. You can perform underwater recovery where the arms are recovered underwater. The nature of the stroke is going to keep the timing and the rhythm much more similar to regular freestyle, and the rotation is also going to be appropriate as well. And because of how the arms are recovered, the timing of the stroke and the magnitude of the rotation tend to sync up with what they need to accomplish. And so in this way, a simplified drill can make it easier for the swimmers to learn the desired skills, whereas decomposing a skill might seem like it's more effective. However, it's much further away from actual swimming, making it less likely that what's learned is going to apply during freestyle swimming. The same concepts can be applied to any of the strokes. Another key aspect of using drills is that you want to be able to train them. I talked about earlier how having concrete goals is really important, and this is an example of that. For instance, one-arm butterfly can be really effective at helping swimmers learn the timing of butterfly with the kicks and the arms. So in this set, there's 4 125s on 2 minutes. They're going to descend 1 to 4, and they're going to perform single-arm fly for 100 plus a 25 butterfly swim. They're going to take 6 dolphin kicks every wall, and they have to take the same number of strokes each 25. And so the purpose of this is it's forcing swimmers to explore this timing in a way that makes them find faster ways to execute the skills without just taking more strokes. So they have to improve their timing in order to get faster. This is an example of training these skills, which forces them to learn and also has a training benefit. The other example here is using underwater recovery. So we go 875s on 115. The odds are 50 underwater recovery plus a 25 freestyle. They're going to build each 25 to fast. And then the evens are 25 underwater recovery plus a 50 freestyle, descend each 75 to strong. So the key idea here is that you're adding a speed requirement, so swimmers are forced to explore different ways to execute the timing to get a specific result. By requiring performance, swimmers are going to have a more focused and a more thorough explanation of the skills as opposed to just swimming and focusing on what they feel. Of course, there's also going to be physical benefits by performing the drills in this manner. Now, sometimes you have to move really far away from full stroke swimming to get the skills or get the movements that you're looking for. And whenever this happens, you really need to focus on integrating what was learned back up into regular full stroke swimming. So here's an example. So we're going to go 8 rounds. The 25 is double arm backstroke with a band and a buoy, and you're going to minimize stroke count. So in this exercise, they have to create propulsion by moving the arms straight back, and they have to reduce the amount of strokes that they take as they go through. Now, double arm backstroke isn't necessarily super similar to regular backstroke. However, we're going to use the drill to focus on propulsion and then integrate back up what was learned during that exercise. So the next piece is a 50 backstroke with a band. They're going to descend 1 to 4, then 5 to 8 at the same stroke count. So this is a lot more similar to regular backstroke, but there's still an emphasis on creating propulsion with the upper body. They have to learn how to create speed without taking more strokes. And then finally, they're going to put it all together in 100 backstroke where they're going to go 25, 50, 75, and 100 strong, and they're going to change that by round. So this set starts with an isolated skill, and then it starts to integrate and build in that skill throughout the set so that there's a reasonable amount of full stroke swimming in which to practice that skill. And because there's 8 repetitions of it, there's 8 opportunities to learn to integrate that skill. This is very different than just performing drills in isolation and hoping that the transfer occurs. And of course, a set like this, there's a fair amount of swimming and a fair amount of swimming with some sort of intensity. So that's also training the physical components of the stroke as well. So going over all the effective tasks for each stroke is beyond the scope of this course, but I want to provide you with a couple examples of how to use tasks that retain many of the elements of the actual stroke, but put a little emphasis on specific skills. So for freestyle, with paddle cap freestyle, the paddle is on the head and the swimmer has to learn how to breathe without the paddle coming off. So they have to have a low, tight, fast breath. One of the key skills in backstroke is the timing of the shoulder drive and the backstroke rotation. So by lifting the head up slightly, it frees up the shoulders and it allows for a more effective rotation, thereby emphasizing that skill while still swimming regular backstroke. With breaststroke, a key skill is the separation of the arms and the legs so that they're not overlapping, and with underwater breaststroke, this forces swimmers to change the timing to reflect that. With butterfly, it's important to optimize the undulation, especially when trying to swim really fast, and there's been a move towards a slightly flatter butterfly. Swimming fly with flutter kick can help swimmers feel what it's like to minimize the undulation. With underwater dolphin kicking, a key skill is creating stability with the head and the hands. While there can be some motion there, a lot of swimmers have excess motion. And so by having them vertical kick while holding a pull buoy and keeping that pull buoy extremely still, they're forced to learn how to create propulsion to stay afloat while keeping the hands really still. This is an effective way to learn that skill while still practicing the skill of underwater kicking. So next time, we'll put it all together and we'll go over how to design sets that train and teach.